Welcome to BouncePros Unplugged, the all-new podcast brought to you by the team at BounceWave Inflatable Sales. Here's your host, Austin Ladd.
All right, welcome to the first official podcast of BouncePros Unplugged. My name is Austin. I'm your host. This is brought to you by BounceWave Inflatable Sales. I'm excited to get started on this very first episode of BouncePros Unplugged. I have a really special guest that we've been working really closely together the past few weeks that we'll get into later, something we are working on. And I have Jamie Schluckabeer here for Tifton, Georgia, about 60 miles north of the Florida border. He has a long-time inflatable rental company, very successful, not just inflatables, it's actually an event rental company. And then also too, he has a knockout social media software, which is a really cool, innovative tool. I think that a lot of you will find interesting. And we will get into that towards the end of the show. First, I wanted to give Jamie an in-depth interview of how his business is ran, his mindset, get you guys into his mind and how he thinks he's successful at what he does, and he has been for many years. Jamie is a customer of BounceWave. He has quite a few of our units, and he's been around since the beginning. A lot of you may know Jason, who is the owner, who's also my father. He started just when Jason was also starting out in this whole manufacturer side of things. Without further ado, Jamie, go ahead and introduce yourself. Give us a little bit of your background, where you came from, what got you into this business, and then you can introduce Spring Forward Inflatables.
Hey, first off, Austin, thanks for inviting me on. I'm very humbled to be in what we call the pro category. I'm always very leery of anybody that calls themselves a pro, but I tell you what, if anybody deserves it, it's you guys with BounceWave. Is like you said, I met Jason through the phone. He would call me when I really wasn't sold on one particular inflatable company. This has been 3 or 4 years ago. And he was sharing with me all of his experience. And we just clicked right off the bat, because the one thing about you guys at BounceWave is you guys want to see people succeed. And it's literally like the website is, what is it? Buy what rents?
What rents, yeah.
You guys make some of the best looking units, and it's great quality also. I've been a big fan. But anyway, so I started back in 2014 and was in ministry for a long time as a youth pastor and worship leader in many different roles. And we don't make a lot of money in the ministry, or a Joel Osteen or somebody like that. So anyway, I'm not that. So I had to supplement my income. And when I was talking with Jason, I was at maybe 20 units. Okay. And my business partner and I, we both decided, okay, hey, listen, he knows what he's talking about. Jason was guiding us in the right direction, and we felt safe with, even as young as BounceWave was that many years ago, taking a chance on him. And I'm glad we did. But once we started expanding with BounceWave, we quickly grew to about 50 units. And currently we're about 12 years in. We're right up around 100 units right now. And we service about a 45-mile radius around Tifton, Georgia. And we've got quite a lot of competition around our area, just like anybody else does. And I think it makes us better in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Because
I use that as fuel. Just a lot of your motivational speakers, like, Goggins and guys like that, you got to use that as fuel to make you better. And so anyway, it's my goal. It's always been my goal I want to be the best at what I'm doing in this industry. And so not only who you're buying from, but when it comes to who's doing your SEO, are you learning it? What kind of booking software you have? Are you doing Facebook ads? Are you posting regularly on Facebook and Instagram and your Google business page? All that together has been I would almost say, like, I've loved learning about this aspect of the business and how to really get in there and be the best at what we do. And so if we're not the best, we try our best to be that in our area. So
yeah.
Been fun so far.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And it sounds like you've scaled pretty quickly. And speaking of scaling, so for a lot of the listeners, I want to give them that scaling journey that you had. So you said, okay, so the 20 units that you started with, give me a time frame. Was that 20 units? Was that a year to take to get 20 units? Did you buy them new? Did you buy those 20 units used? Give me a little bit of detail on that.
So I actually started with one. I was at 20, right around 20. My business partner and I, when we met Jason. So I started out with one bounce house, and I bought it used, bought it from an indoor facility that went out of business, and it was a 10 by 10 bounce house. Now, real quickly on that particular bounce house, I hated that bounce house because when I first came into the industry, I thought I had to be the cheapest around.
Right.
And so I was renting this thing out for $75 and $89. And because I thought I had to be the cheapest, and it was a great quality bounce house. But I ended up selling that bounce house after about a year and a half because I was so mad at the bounce house. And obviously, you probably know where I'm going with this, Austin. It wasn't the bounce house that was the problem. It was me. There wasn't nothing wrong with the bounce house. It was the person setting the price. Because when you're charging that little amount, it's like you're spending time away from your family. Because back in the day, I was delivering, cleaning, just like when you're starting this kind of stuff off, have to do. And man, I got so burnt out. And then I get that $75 and I go into my wife. I feel like a failure. I'm like, why am I doing this? This is not profit. Right. And I think that you've seen enough newcomers come into this business also. Like, that's one of the biggest things that I try to tell people is do not underprice your value that you bring, because you will burn yourselves out. And that's why when I see somebody that's renting a bounce house for $75, I don't worry about it, because they're either going to adjust their price or they're going to get burned out and they're going to sell it. And they're going to. So anyway, that was my first bounce house. My second one was I bought a dry slide from the same business that went out, and I used it as a water slide. And so every time those kids would come down, crashing into a wall, and thank God nobody got hurt on that thing. But that was one of the things. I didn't have you guys. I didn't have you and Jason telling me like, hey, dude, like, you can't use a dry slide without a pool. They're going to hurt themselves. So anyway, those are a couple of the lessons we learned. And I was buying used up until about my first 10 or 12.
Okay.
And I got burned a couple times. I bought one used unit from a guy who he didn't tell me, but he glued the Velcro to Velcro on the slide liner down. And so after about 3 rentals, that glue came up, and I was getting calls from the customer saying, hey, our kids have scratches all over the back.
Yeah.
They're mad. And so you always got to be careful if you buy used, because there are some people out there that will take advantage of you.
And yeah, it's interesting that we get a lot of customers who call us, and one of their first questions is when they buy something, even if they have something already they bought used, is how do I price it? A lot of them will automatically think, let me be cheaper than everybody else. Yeah. And not only on your side that you're saying you'll burn yourself out, yes, but your audience is looking at that too. And when something looks too good to be true, they're going to think, okay, there's a reason they're way cheaper than everybody else, and we're going to go to the next guy probably just because that's a little bit too low for us. So I'm glad you brought that up. Even though the units might not have been exactly your ideal or what you have now, it sounds like you still got business and you still were growing. So at that level there, how were you reaching customers when you first started, and what did you find to be the best approach as a new business, especially in a small town?
Greg, the go-to for a lot of newcomers is one platform, and that's Facebook. I see all the newcomers who will just go to the Facebook marketplace, and you will get some decent customers from there. But the reason I don't advertise there is because those typically, for me, are my low-end customers. And they're the ones that they want the $75 bounce house. They're the ones that are going to message you like, hey, I've only got $100, and they're looking at a $300 slide.
Yeah.
Like they're doing you a favor. So that's what I've seen is, so the biggest difference of starting out doing it that way and posting in all the junking groups. And now a lot of times you get banned if you're going to do that. So those are the old days. But the biggest difference is a few years in, I added a website. So then it was realizing the relevance of SEO. And okay, how are they going to find me? And then whether it's Google ads or all that stuff tied together, that was when I would watch all these groups and people would share just little snippets of, hey, here's how you need to do SEO. And so I would watch that hour-long video. And over the course of time, that was how I paired that together. So it went from the Facebook marketplace to a free advertisement. So I was getting reported and people reporting me and
Yeah.
almost getting my account locked, to going into the website and then getting into SEO and Google ads. And from my experience, those are the customers I want. But that's a big learning curve, Austin. It took me 3 different times. I'm with ERS. You got some big ones like IO and BCN.
Yep. Yep.
3 times until I finally got that website set up because of the learning curve. It's a big learning curve. You know what I like to say about the bounce house industry? It's an easy to gain entry business, but it's hard to maintain, because a lot of times I've got a competitor who's got 50 or 60 units, and he brags about that he does all of these deliveries. And so I'm just like, good luck with that, because you're going to burn yourself out with that many units. I know we'll probably jump into later about staffing and all that, but man, it's a labor intensive job. You got to take all of that stuff into account, how you're finding the customers, how you're going to service them. And so those are some of my biggest lessons learned, was jumping from just the one platform. You need to post on social media, you need to post on Facebook, but also is you need to be expanding to your website, to SEO, to your Google AdWords. You need to get an Instagram and your Google business page, and all of that's tied together.
Definitely. And then, so with the website, did you hire a third party to come in and do a lot of the SEO? Did you try and figure it out yourself? Did you wait until you learned that curve with whatever the system or the platform was your website host was help you out with that? How did you implement SEO into your site?
So one of the things about SEO is it is a long-term strategy. It can take months, if not years, before you're going to start seeing results. And it can be complicated. It is complicated. And the thing about SEO is, when you don't know about it, people can take advantage of you. Now, there are some very reputable companies who really operate in this bounce house niche, and they're good. But there's also ones that, for example, one of my social media clients I was talking to, good guy. This company was charging him $900 a month to do his SEO.
Wow.
And I'm like, and he just started, you know what I mean? So he needs it, yes. But here's my issue with SEO and the way the industry standard is for charging, is you need to have parameters set up for these agencies, whoever you're using to do it. You need to have parameters set up to be able for them to show you what we've done. Hey, Mr. Owner, I set up 20 city landing pages for you geared around bounce house rentals specific to your area this month. You know what I mean? Because if you hire the wrong person, they're going to be collecting that 400, 500, 900, whatever it is per month. And it's one of those things that can go long term. You can be very frustrated. So be very careful. Make sure that if you are hiring somebody, make sure that you are looking into it. Matter of fact, Austin, I'll tell you this, for this being the first podcast that you're doing, I have made, now this is only geared to ERS, that's who I use, but I would imagine IO and BCN are the same or very similar. I've made a 13-minute video of showing the basics of SEO and how to go. And so if somebody's watching this in this video to this point, reach out to me. I will send you a copy of that video.
Awesome.
Just to help you guys out. We love our BounceWave family and all that.
Absolutely. No,
yeah,
I think you're going to get some people hitting you up for that.
I hope they do, because it's one of those things, even if you're paying somebody to do it, you need to learn what's going on behind the scenes, because some of this stuff you can do. A lot of it you can't. It just takes time.
Yep. We ran into the same thing, not only with our rental companies before, but also BounceWave. It's funny because when you're playing both sides, and so for those of you that don't know, BounceWave actually started as a rental company. That's how Jason gained all of his wisdom and knowledge. It's over 20 years old, going strong now. But anyways, it's such a different SEO strategy, whereas Extreme Jumpers, who is our rental company, is so locally SEO based. And that is almost completely different than BounceWave, who has almost a national SEO strategy. And Blaine, who is my brother, and Chris, we're all kind of partners running all 3 of these companies we have. We've all had to learn and watch YouTube videos, and we have SEO companies for both businesses right now, but we have learned, just like you said, we make them send us a report every week of exactly what happened because yeah, we pay them a lot of money and we sure want to make sure we see what's going on. So I love that you made that point. If you hire somebody to do your SEO, there's a ton of them that will take advantage of you. There's a ton of them that don't really know what they're doing because they might not be implementing the right strategy for a local SEO strategy for you. At least make them send you a list of what they are doing, because then you can reach out to BounceWave, call us and say, hey, I got this list of stuff. I don't know what they're talking about, but can you look at it and see if it's making any sense? Or I'm sure Jamie wouldn't have a problem either looking it over. Like I said, or like he said, he's got that video. I'm sure it's very informative. SEO is critical. SEO is sustainable. Google Ads is great, but Google Ads is not sustainable. The minute you stop spending that money with Google, you're going off of that front page. SEO is what's going to keep you at least on that front page if you have a good, solid foundation in SEO. So I'm glad we talked about that because that is very important from the start. All right, so let's move on. That's my Apple Watch there, but let's move on to the website. You said you're at ERS. Do you have any tips for, and nowadays it's so drag and drop, and it really is pretty easy. And a lot of these companies, especially in this industry that are the website building softwares, they're getting really good in understanding to be able to be contacted and be able to help you walk through that. So really it is becoming dummy proof, but it's not at the same time. You still have to get your feet wet and get a learning curve going. But do you have anything as far as just with the website goes, or any tips with the website? So like when you're making it, anything that stands out, is the homepage important? Do you have any tips as far as product images go? What do you have there?
Absolutely. I would say stay consistent. Like you said, Austin, the way the websites are nowadays, you can drag and drop so much stuff. I paid ERS to upgrade mine. They came out with a deal. I don't know, it was about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And it was a whole facelift for the front homepage of the website. But the reason I couldn't do it was because there was code on the back end. That was their proprietary information that's how they charge. It cost $1,000. But I wanted something that had those carousels with Amazon and all that. So when it comes to images, what you control by the time you enter in all your inventory, I would say stay consistent. So if you have images with no backgrounds, then make all of your inventory with no backgrounds. But you can go on many of these sites, like Canva has different options to remove the background. It's so easy to do. Or if you're going to have the backgrounds, just have backgrounds on all of them. That's one of the biggest things I see is inconsistency. Remember also, when you are setting these up, write a description everywhere you can. If you got a dinosaur combo, make sure you're writing on there your favorite dinosaur bounce house with slide combo. It can be used wet or dry. Just use those key words in your descriptions. The other thing that I did also is every time I get a new unit, we do an unboxing to set them up. And one of the biggest things I do is I do like a sales video. So on most of my inventory on my website, there's going to be a YouTube link that the video will pop up. And it's actually me with my cell phone. We got high quality cameras in our hands nowadays. And it's just going around. Hey, check out our monster truck dual lane bounce house with slide combo. This can be a wet or dry. And it's about 45 seconds. And what this is doing at 2 a.m. when my customers are online and I'm sleeping is this program and this website is selling them on, and they're seeing the quality. They're seeing how big. Like one thing, brag on BounceWave for a second. BounceWave combos are so much larger than most of your other competitors. And I want my customers to see that. And here's one of the other big things. My competitors aren't doing that. Most of them aren't doing that. And so I always want to take it to that. I want to be the best. And I want to take the step. Now, once they see this podcast,
now you got to think of something else. I love that. No, I love that unboxing video idea. I'm going to take this little snippet right here and turn it into a highlight, because I think that's going to be huge. Because not only is that huge for your website, like you said, when the people are scrolling at 2 a.m., That's good for your social media. That's going to get engagement. People can visualize having that product at their party in their backyard, and they're going to book it.
Yeah. And one of the other things too is I'll get the random Facebook when they're on the community, like the city talk.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm looking for a monster truck bounce house. And so for me to be able to have one direct link from my website that's got the videos and multiple pictures that I can just, hey, here's a direct link, Miss Customer, taking you directly to it. It's all my sales presentation, all in one page right there. Unit. So yeah, it's a great thing to do.
That's awesome. Yeah. So to wrap that point up, images and videos are extremely important. Stay consistent. Like Jamie said, if you're going to have no backgrounds in your images, that's fine. It looks nice and clean, but make sure all of your products don't have backgrounds. If you're going to have backgrounds, that's great too. Sometimes people like to actually see that product in somebody's yard. It gives them a sense of scale. It gets that visualization factor going.
What I do on Austin, that's a great point, is for the profile pictures of the, I'll do no background, but then when they click on see more info is where they actually see images in usually a customer's yard. We get a pretty house, or we'll take my house or something like that, and then we'll do the video also of it. And so they're seeing that one, no background with the image, and then they're getting more. So yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that. We're actually doing that right now with BounceWave. We're going to start doing that where we won't have a background, and then we're going to have, when you click into it, then you'll be able to see it in the factory, or if a customer has sent us a picture, that's a really good picture of the unit. So I really like that idea there. All right, let's move into, while we're on the topic of website, and we're going to try and wrap up the website thing here soon, but I do want to bring this up because I think it's becoming probably one of the most prominent topics when it comes to inflatable and event rental websites, is the booking process. Now, do you do bookings through your website?
Yes.
Okay. And so give me the story on the learning curve on how that worked. How hard was it to set up? And would you recommend that to a brand new company? Just enlighten me on that, on your thoughts on that.
So I've recognized, this has been 6 or 7 years ago, that I needed a booking software. And like I told you earlier, is it took me 3 times, usually in the off season, but it's one of those things. Once I did it, and once it got active and people started booking, it's one of those things. I was like, oh my Lord, I should have done this so much earlier. Because the typical entrepreneur in this industry answers their own phone, and there's nothing wrong with that. And they do all the bookings. And so, Austin, what's going to happen is when you're first out here grinding and you're doing your pickups on whatever day, your deliveries, and that phone rings, you're not answering that phone.
No.
And let me tell you something. If you don't answer that phone right then and there, you know what that customer's doing? They're calling the next company that's maybe a spot down on Facebook or Google. They're calling the next. And so when you do try calling them back, most of the time, they're going to say, oh, I already booked one. Thank you for calling me back, though, and we'll keep you in mind for the future. So
yeah.
But yeah, that was my walkthrough. So I got the website. I got tired. It'd be like a July 4th, and we're just crazy busy. We're crushing it. But then that next month after July 4th, my rentals are dead because I wasn't answering that phone and I didn't have the booking software. And so I knew I had to put that in place. So once I did, then I was leaning too much on it, Austin. I got to the point to where it was like, man, I've got to answer the phone. I put a voicemail on my phone that said, hi, you've reached Springford Inflatables. We're unable to answer the call right now. If you would like to check real-time availability, please go to our website and you can see everything that we have available by just entering your day. And we need that. I needed that, but I relied too much on it. I stopped answering the phones. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago when I hired a sweet lady to answer the phones for me, because Austin, I'm horrible at answering the phones. I do not like to talk, because you know what they're going to say, Austin? Hey, I just wanted to see what you had available.
Yes.
For I was like, oh, can you go on my website? And you can't say that to them. And so anyway, the best investment is to have somebody that's going to answer that phone. because that whatever you pay them is going to be returned, because when they answer that phone, they're going to get those bookings reserved right away, because not everybody will go to a website. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
That was my journey through not having it, not answering the phone, to relying too much on it, to where I'm at today. I think I've got the best systems put in place to where we've got a sweet lady named Marilise who answers the phone. She does a great job. She knows how to do the booking software.
Okay.
She knows how the business is run. If we discount a school or a church, how many units you have to get before you get a discount. She knows all of that.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
she, with being able to call customers to actually schedule bookings. And so it's not just a simple text message, hey, we're going to be there tomorrow between blah, blah time. And so it just puts that personal touch on it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So-
Yeah. No, we do the same. I don't have a sweet lady answering for Orchid House Event Rentals, which is our wedding rental side. We do have online booking, but we also have the phone, because Jason, my dad, when he started Extreme over 20 years ago, booking online was not even thought of at that point. He's in that mode and he learned that way. And a lot of it is true. Like you're saying, there is a personal touch to it, but I like to call it, in this day and age, I call it the Amazon COVID age, where people, because of Amazon Prime and because of COVID, people got so used to being able to do everything on their phones and online. They don't even think to call unless it's a certain person, or there's that certain age group, right, that likes to call, or that person that isn't very trusting of just putting their card info online or something like that, which is why it's important to have the option for them to contact you. But yeah, I think it's becoming critical to be able to book online. And I did the same thing sometimes when people call and they're like, hey, I was wondering if this is available for that date. And I just go, let me go look at the website real quick.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, but yeah, cool. And then, so just real quick, as far as the actual booking software goes, the companies now are pretty good at helping you get that all set up. As far as booking conflicts with that whole system, do you ever really run into any issues? Is it pretty seamless? Do you ever have any issues with it the website going down or the booking system crashing? Anything like that?
It is very rare that ERS goes down. I see a little bit of IO also. It'll say, why is the back end down, just like ERS? That's got to do something, I think, with the servers. But the good thing is you can set all of your parameters, your schedules, your bookings. So I have it on certain times of the year where no one can book another slide within 36 hours after it's been reserved.
Yep.
Because I don't want it to be 45 minutes south of where I'm at and then have to go 45 minutes north. And they're expecting it by 9 a.m., that next day. The crazy thing is, like, when July 4th is, I think it's on like a Thursday this year, I change my bookings. And for like end of school year field days, I don't want a slide to be running that Thursday and not be able to go out that weekend. So I'll set it till 24 hours to where somebody can rebook it. That way I'm not losing. I want that double revenue for the week on the show. Yeah, you can set all those up. So the good thing is you cannot double book a unit. Back in the day before we had the booking software, I'm sure everybody who does it with Google Calendar or pen and paper is you've double booked something.
Oh yeah.
And whether you're going to lie or something, or say, hey, listen, that unit's damaged, whatever you would say to that customer, it's not good. It's an uncomfortable situation.
Right.
One thing about that is if everything is online, you cannot be it's not possible for it to be double booked. And the only way that ever happens, and this is where I do my best, even friends and family, I tell them, hey, listen, go onto my website because it'll send me an empty or an abandoned cart notification. Go and complete it. Just don't pay in full. I'll go in there, and like my friends and family, I give them a 20% discount. People will probably say, don't do that when they hear this, but it's the way I run my business. But yeah, I tell them to go in there because if you tell me, hey, I want a bounce house for this day, I'm going to forget.
Oh yeah.
It's the last thing on my mind. And I'm discounting for you. You better do some work.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have a bunch of friends my age getting married this year and next year. And hey, I need these tables and chairs and this tent and these letters for November 22nd. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to remember that. And I'm not going to remember to put it in the system. So do yourself a favor and go on the website, book it, and I'll look at it then. I'm like, but you got to at least do that for me so it blocks it out. Totally understand there. One other thing I want to touch on is, and you started to get into it, was I like that you're able to see the abandoned cart thing. And then I do have a question. Are you able to see, so like when visitors are on your site, are you able to see like what products they're looking at before
Yes.
they book?
Yes. So if they do the abandoned cart, I actually have it set up to where it's called high level. Different companies call it different, but it's Go High Level software, and it's an add-on. We pay $99 extra a month, but that right there, what it does is it nurtures those abandoned carts, Austin. It's phenomenal. I had it back in the day and I stopped it because I thought all it was that pop-up coupon, and I hate the pop-up coupon. I'm like, I don't want to start everybody off with a $10 discount just coming on my site.
Right.
Anyway, I stopped it, but back this January 1st, I started it again. And let me tell you something, between the abandoned carts, it nurtures those leads. Like my first text, it'll send it like something like 4 hours after they leave the website and don't complete payment. And it says something like, hey, it says their name because they entered it. You are on my website. And I just want to double check with you, make sure we didn't have any technical issues on why you couldn't book it. And I'm here if you have any questions. And so then I'll get responses back from some of them that'll say, oh yeah, no, I needed to talk to my spouse and I'm going to go book it. And sometimes what I'll do is, hey, would you like me to go ahead and reserve it for you? That way no one can take it. And just, I'll give you 24 hours. If you decide you don't want it, just let me know. I'll hold it.
Yeah, that's great.
Work on it, but I close that sale better.
Yeah.
It does for me when it comes to the website is it does text message 5-star review asks.
Wow.
You
know? Okay.
So before, the ERS software has it to where it'll email them a day after. But Austin, I'm not checking my emails hardly at all, but my text messages, and man, I was getting maybe 1 5-star review, maybe 2 on a busy weekend from the emails. But man, now that I've got it set up with the text messages, I'm getting typically 4 or 5 every weekend now because it's going through text. So that $99 a month, I'm making it up big time from the nurturing the abandoned carts. And I've got over, I don't know what it is, 225 5-star reviews now, but it's good for my area. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. That's awesome. And we're going to do eventually an entire episode on reviews and how important they are and the different ways you can utilize them. But I didn't know that the text message thing was a feature of that high level. That's a big deal. If you could just open up your phone and open the message and leave a review, you're going to get so many more.
The other cool thing about that, Austin, is it has it set up to where the first, it's like a dummy page. If you select 3 stars or below, it will actually take you to a different website. It won't take you to the Google page. And so if you have a bad experience, they could figure it all out, and they probably would if they're mad enough. But that's going to weed some of the bad reviews out.
Okay.
And only 4 or 5 star is actually going to get pushed through. So
nice. Yeah. And
parameters.
Some people that might hear that and think, oh, that sounds unethical. All they have to do is go to your Google business page and leave that same thing. So there is a way around that, like you're saying. And then one thing that I want to bring up on that whole high level thing that I think would be a good idea is if you're able to see people that are clicking on a certain page or a product, and let's say they want to book your wraparound, right, for this certain weekend. And I know you have several of them, but let's say you had one, and let's say that was booked for that time. So then they left. You at that point could see that and realize, okay, either one, maybe I could reach out to them and suggest something different that would interest them. And 2, maybe I need to look at getting another one if I get enough demand for it. I think that's something you could do with high level. It's another point that's an advantage to you.
Absolutely. It's a great point.
Yeah. Cool. We could keep going on for hours about website stuff, but there's a lot of YouTube videos out there. And like we're saying, a lot of these platforms now, they're becoming really good at being informational. And honestly, if you go to the BounceWave customer group page and you ask a question about any of these or what service people recommend, everybody has their taste in what they like in all these different companies. You'll get a lot of good feedback out of that. So if you have any additional website questions, either reach out to me, go on to our BounceWave forums. We've got people like Jamie that are more than willing to help out, especially new people. Or if you're someone that's been in business, for example, like maybe Jason for a long time and is looking at getting into that online booking software because That's where the industry's going. Do the same thing. I want to get into some product stuff. So you have a lot of inflatables for Inflatable Rental Company. You said you're at over 100 now?
Yeah, over 100. Yep.
So give me the rundown on your top 3 to 5 units year round that you can consistently depend on.
Ooh, so I remember this one very well. The top one is the wraparound. The reason I did not like doing wet obstacle courses is because typically you get in on one and then you're going 30, 40, 60 feet down to the exit. And then when those kids get out, they're going to make a mud trail all the way back. And so cleaning those things are a nightmare. So I made up in my mind, I would not buy a wet obstacle course unless the exit and the entrance were close together. Jason, I think it was the first one that you guys made was possibly for me, but I got 3 of those. They're different colors, but those consistently are my top 5 renters. And so I'm actually going to be in the process the next time we buy, I'm going to probably buy 6 or 7 of those.
Wow.
They do so. It's like a combo, Austin, of where in the summer it can be wet and in the winter it's going to be good. And it's the best of both worlds. This particular one that I'm talking about it starts off with a 30 or 40 foot long obstacle course. Then it twists around the back. It goes upstairs. It goes down a slide. So we call it the double slide obstacle course. Yeah. And people just love it. Matter of fact, I've talked so much about it that every single one of my competitors now has one also. So I was like, it's one of those double-edged swords.
Yeah.
Got them anyway. But yeah, that's my top. That's definitely my top pick. You can't go wrong with just water slides, especially in the warmer climate.
Yeah.
You're going to have a longer season. Is your water slide, even though it only rent from March to, let's say, October, that's going to make you, let's say, $12,000 to $15,000, to where a dry bounce house is only going to rent in the cooler months, because no one's going to rent a bounce house that has no water in the summer. So that's all things to think about. We have really done well with having the obstacle course option. One thing I would say, I'm going to jump off topic here, Austin, but one thing that'll help people, if you want to get the bigger events like schools and churches, corporate events, stuff like that, you need to have games. You need to have the interactive games, the basketball, the football, the list goes on and on. There's tons of them that you guys offer. You need to have those because that is what those schools, that's what they want. And so it complements. You might pay $2,000 for a game, but that game is going to last you if you take care of it for 7 to 10 years, because it's not. It goes out 20 to 25 times a year, so it's not getting rid of the time. But those big events, like, that's what they're looking for. Until I added those, I was missing out on those events.
Gotcha. Okay.
So those are some of the biggest ideas that go through my mind, what I've learned through these years in business on when it comes to particular units.
Okay. So the wraparound obstacle course, so that one is also a cool obstacle course that I think a lot of people overlook. And I don't know if it's because we as BounceWave don't market them right. Because it's funny, I just added your video you sent in about the wraparound obstacle course to our homepage, actually. I don't know. I don't remember if I told you or not, but I watched that back again and I'm like, we need to market and push these more because they're great units. They're fun. Any age can enjoy them. They're great for corporate events, schools. Obstacle courses generally are because you can put a lot of traffic through them. And then too, those wraparounds aren't these long, crazy things. They're nice and compact so they can fit in a backyard if they need to. I like that idea on the wraparound obstacle course. If you guys, you might not be able to visualize what we're talking about, but go on our website, go to the obstacle courses. You'll see them. They're the 40-foot wraparound obstacle courses. They offer a pretty big slide. And like Jamie said, they can be used wet and dry, which is a key really for any inflatable other than water slides. If you want something that's going to rent throughout the year, if you're that brand new customer that's, hey, I've got this much money, I can buy 3 pieces. What do you recommend? Every one of my guys here, and I guarantee you, Jamie, and a lot of these guys that we're going to be interviewing in the future are going to tell you, at minimum, if you're going to start out with 3, get 2 units that are wet dry so you can run them throughout the year, and then get a water slide. Yes. So When it comes to water slides, which is BounceWave's bread and butter, it's what we love to make. It's what I love to design. When you started, if you remember, when you started out, what size was your first water slide?
Ooh, it was 18 foot.
18? Okay.
And very early on, it was only single lanes. And it was really my first order with Jason was I wanted to be unique. I wanted to be the best. And nobody had double lane slides. And I just said, you know what? I'm doing double lane everything.
Yeah.
Double lane combos, double lane slides. Now I do have some single lane bigger slides, but all my combos, I've only got one or two out of 15 that aren't double lanes because I just want to stand out. Same thing with the slides is my 18 foot and above are going to be double lanes. When I get into that 22 foot, I'm going to do some singles. In my 15 to 16 slides, I'll do single lanes.
Right.
So those are, but yeah, that bread and butter that's where I really try to be different is the double lanes is same thing with the triple lanes. When you guys added the triple lane, I got to do it.
Gotta get a triple lane now.
Let me tell you something. That thing stays rented. That was actually one of my sellers also for last year. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I like the triple lanes. I think they are popular. We have people all over the nation with them, and there's quite a few, like you're saying, that it's quickly became one of their most rented units. I think the notion with the triple lanes is because at 18, 20 foot tall, when you see our already wide lanes and there's 3 of them, immediately your mind goes, oh, wow, that thing's got to be 1,200 pounds. What people don't realize is these triple lanes a lot of times are actually 2 pieces. So it's just the slide piece and then the big pool actually detaches. So when you roll it up, it's not too bad. Now, if you go and get you a 22 footer, it's going to be heavy, but they're going to rent. And so a triple lane is another good option to look at. Maybe not for that brand new company. Once you get to that 8 to 10 unit range, maybe start heading that way to that triple lane, but cool. And then one more question about water slides is what is your opinion on, and I saw you have some of them on the smaller units. In our rental experience with Extreme Jumpers, the smaller water slides, like the 15-foot single lanes, the 12-foot center climbs, we call them a loss leader or a necessary evil. They don't bring you a ton of money, right? But what they do is they allow that customer that is that single mom who doesn't have the $400 or $500 to rent a big 18-foot double lane hybrid, their kids can still have a great time. And the fact that you offer that and still offer a clean product, good customer service, even if you're not making a ton of money, is a big deal to them, because one day they might go for that big one when their kids get old and they're going to save up for it. And that's my take. I wanted to get your take on those smaller ones. How do you market them, and do you feel the same way?
Absolutely. I go down to 14 foot, but it's like an extra long. It's almost like a hybrid 14 foot. And so I've got all mine priced at $299. So even at that, I've just drawn the line in the sand of I don't want to go below that $275, $299 for a wet unit. But I think you're spot on. I think you see the big corporations like a Walmart, a Target, all these companies, they'll do the loss leader products to get somebody in. You know what I mean? Now, I wouldn't do it like a $75 bounce house like we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Hate your life and you're going to hate this business.
Yes.
But you can, and to be able to say, we've got water slides starting at $250, $100, whatever the price would be. I think you're spot on, because it is something to think about. I got this one particular customer that comes to mind. She rents from me multiple times a year. And the cool thing about the software also is it's almost like a layaway program. Now she does it through Cash App, so I have to go in there, but she'll message our business page. Hey, I just paid $50. We'll go in there, we'll update. But dude, she'll do $400, $500, $600 rentals each time. And she's a single mom. And I feel bad. We're in business, but dude, she finds the money. And I don't know this for a fact, but Austin, I think I kind of picture like she's a waitress, and on a good Saturday night when she's worked, like she goes and puts $75 towards this rental for kids.
Yeah.
Just to being able to give that affordable product, or to be able to work with somebody, like make payments if you need to. That's not bothering us.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
It makes you like humanize the business.
Absolutely.
a lot of ways.
And I guarantee you that lady probably tells more people about your company. She's worth a $1,500 a year advertising, basically billboard right there too. So that's something to consider is yes, have that loss leader, or two, like you're saying, work with somebody. Yes, there's going to be people out there that will take advantage of you, but there are good people in the world, and there are good people that are just trying to make it and give their kids a good birthday party. So I think that's a big deal. Let's move on to, because I did see them on your website, let's move on to themed inflatables.
Yeah.
Now, I'm talking gender themes. I'm talking seasonal themes. Give me your take on them. Give me your advice for people who are, let's say, give me your advice for somebody who's new that wants, let's say, 6 to 7 units. And then let's talk about that guy that's a year and a half old that's actually trying to scale and maybe moving into some themed units. Give me your thoughts on those.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways to go on this. When I first started, I stayed very gender neutral. And the most crazy we got was my business partner had a sports themed combo. And then he had a princess kind of pink and themed combo. But mine were very gender neutral. And when we came together, that's how we came together. He had 5 years, I had 5. And it was after about 10 or 15 to when we started to look and see the different themed units. And really, the industry has gotten so much better on the theme, the quality, and the way they look. I'll never forget one of the things that Jason told me. When we were first talking years ago, and I was going to buy a handful of units from him. He said, I can tell you a few staples in this industry. One of them is if you have a princess carriage combo, you need to sell it. Like, it's funny you say that, Jason, because I've had one and I swore I had to have it because it was going to be my top runner. And it went out 2 times in a year. 2 times in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so right then when he was saying stuff like that, and he didn't know me from Adam, he didn't know my website or nothing to know that kind of stuff. But that's the crazy thing, Austin. Like, you can get into some crazy stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I would say this, some of your main staple ones are your dinosaurs, your mermaids, your unicorns, your princess. There are some very good, but I would stay gender neutral until, I don't know what that magic number is, that until you've got 7, 8, 9, 10 units, then branch out.
Yeah.
Because somebody can make a gender neutral, you guys got such good look. It was like the Bajas and the Goombay, those really good colors that can go with anything. It doesn't matter if it's a princess or if the kid likes race cars, it's neutral colors.
It works. Yeah.
The water slides. But yeah, until you expand, and there are some ones that rent more, like our jaw slide that's one of our top runners. We've got 2 of them. And so stuff like that, you'll find out. One of the other big things, Austin, is when I was buying from different companies before BounceWave, one of the first units I bought with like palm trees, that tropical feel, was BounceWave. And man, when I went from those gender neutrals, just bland colors, water slides in particular, to just water slides with that tropical feel with the palm trees, man, my other stuff wouldn't even rent. It was all the palm trees. And something even that it's not really a theme, but it is a theme.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
You know?
I see units in our products with palm trees on them so much that when I see one without palm trees, I'm like, what is this? Like, what's going on here? But then I remember too, like, not everybody wants a palm tree when it's December. Not everybody wants one. So it's important to have that. But I will say, if you are somewhat in the Southeast and it's a wet piece and it's got palm trees, and especially our palm trees, it's going to rent. And then, so back to the theme thing, one thing that I want to touch on that you were touching on too is that, yes, there is a magic number and we've got a grip on it, but there's so many different factors that go into that number. What I tell people is, if you're going to go themed, stick with the themes you're talking about. The dino, the unicorn, the princess. I don't know if you named another one. The sports ones can go pretty well. But if you're going to do that, do it when you have the money and the budget to get both genders. If you're going to do it. If you're going to get that unicorn, get the dino at the same time. That way you can offer it and it works out for both parties. Because if you just have one, it is going to limit you, and then you're going to spend all that money that you could have spent on something that might rent more often if you're new. If you're trying to scale, there is a threshold to where sometimes themed units catch attention. And catching attention when you're in a highly competitive market, some of the themed units you have they grab attention. That's important for people when they're scrolling your website, and that makes them stop and click. That's a big deal. But there is a line you got to get to.
To speak that also to that point also is I've got a Christmas themed unit, a Nutcracker.
Yeah.
And man, my area is just that I only need one. That's only going to rent out 1 month out of the year. And so that thing sits literally for 11 months.
Yeah.
And so if I was in a big area like Central Florida or a big area like that, then you could literally have 5 or 6 Halloween themed units and 5 or 6 Christmas and make it worth your while. Me, I'm in South Georgia where we've got 2 million people, if I'm lucky to say that, within an hour and a half radius. It's not like in Atlanta to where I could really have those units go out multiple times in that month. And so that's really, when you get really specific, be careful. You might find that Halloween themed pumpkin. Rest assured, it's only going to go out 3 weeks, maybe 4 if you're lucky, out of the year. So definitely don't invest in something like that before you would invest in a dinosaur or something themed unit like that. So
absolutely.
You can get or niche down.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there with those, I call them the seasonal holiday themed units. And when you're at a certain size and you have a certain amount of products and it is time you've noticed, hey, there's a demand for that. I always recommend if people don't go out and buy the most expensive Santa sleigh you can find. Get a Christmas one, but try to keep low budget because it's only going to go out a few times. And if it's got Santa or a gingerbread cookie or a reindeer on it, it really doesn't matter what else it looks like. It's going to rent at that Christmas time. So we're actually, BounceWave, I'm in the middle of finishing designing up a few holiday theme units. And Jason, my dad's, be careful. Don't go out there and start trying to get them to everyone, because then they're going to be pissed off when it only rents a few times a year. So I'm balancing making it look good and keeping it low budget at the same time.
We bought a competitor out about 1.5 years ago. Good guy. And he's got a beautiful it's an electric train. This thing is very expensive. And so that thing goes out like crazy during fall festivals and Christmas time. And so we actually got that Christmas Nutcracker bounce house from buying his company. We did not buy the train. He kept that. But that's why he had that Nutcracker bounce house, is because it was the perfect add-on to this expensive train rental. Hey, I've got this Christmas themed bounce house. How would I bring that out there for $300 extra?
Right.
So he had a method to why he was buying that, to where I probably wouldn't buy that. We've got a rock wall, but that's not Christmas oriented.
I was going to ask you, because I saw the train on the website, and that's not usually, if somebody's doing a train, that's about it. Because those trains, it demands labor. You got to have somebody there to drive it. Now they bring in good money. So I wanted to ask you how you got the train in the first place, but now I've learned, and it sounds like it does well.
Really good guy, John Rowland. He was a retired military, and just military life was really hard on his back. And doctor said he wouldn't walk. He overcame that, but he just realized, like, I can't do this business anymore, but he can do the train. And so we talk once a week, good guy. And so we were able to go in there and buy his business name, buy his units and all that. And he kept the train. So we keep it on our website because, Austin, it makes us look a lot more professional.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, got a DJ service on there.
Yeah.
I have nothing to do with the DJ service. I know the guy's name. I've met him a couple times, but it just helps us make us be that one go-to website for customers. And so if somebody rents the train, somebody rents the DJ service, hopefully they're going to have a good experience and come back to us.
Yeah, one-stop shop. That's a big deal. That's what people are looking for. That was another thing, the DJ service. I saw that. And so I was wondering if that was you. I was like, I didn't know he was a DJ, but double lanes are critical. Have some sort of wet, dry combo and obstacle course. It's a big deal. And double lane combo if possible. Sometimes like our econo combos just have this single lane, and they're great because it fits in that person's budget, and it still gives those little kids something they can bounce and slide on, something like that. But that's our takeaways, is those are your can't lose products. Try and stay gender neutral at first. When you get to that certain threshold of products, volume of how many times you're renting, you'll know then it's time to move on. And when you start getting that question a lot of, hey, do you have a princess themed combo, or hey, do you have a dinosaur themed combo, then you'll know it's time to go ahead and go from there. But let's talk a little bit about tables and chairs. And I don't know if do you have tents? Do you rent them?
I used to, and I got out of about 2 years ago.
Okay.
I took the stance of I wanted to just do the slides and the party rentals for that. I wanted to do that just really well. I bought the cheap tents. I bought them from a company where they had like a Black Friday deal. It's a legitimate company, but man, I paid like $500 for a 20 by 20, and they came with the worst looking stakes. But that would cut the cords, the rope tents, and they were your pole tents. And I found myself I was the one having to set them up and constantly show my guys. And it was just for that price. I was getting the really cheap weddings. And so then I would get Bridezilla, you're usually the mother of the bride. They would call and they say, this tent is drooping. It's hanging down a little, because I didn't buy the good quality stuff.
Right.
But yeah, that's why I don't know if I'd ever go back into it.
Yeah.
One of the things about tables and chairs, I love the add-on, but I hate it because trying to keep my guys honest of, you know what, they're going to leave at a house, they're going to leave tables and chairs. And unfortunately, some customers won't call you to let you know. A lot of them do. But yeah, they won't call you. And so it's one of those necessary things. So you've got to have tables and chairs, because it's for the price of it. And you're going to add another $50 to $80 to a bounce house party. That can cover your labor and your gas.
Yeah, that can cover your driver on certain pieces. Yeah. No, that's a good point. And again, it's that one-stop shop thing. If those people I always think about too, like when people have a birthday party at a house, and they have, most of the time on average, I would say people are going to have at least 15 to 18 people at their house during a birthday party. Do people normally have 15 to 18 chairs in their house? No. So they need somewhere for those people to sit. So yeah, it's a one-stop shop, because if you have a certain unit, and especially if your competitor has the same unit, it's going to come down to price and who has the tables and chairs, because they're going to want to just go with one person. I like that idea of, it's one of the tougher items on logistics. And I'll be honest, with Extreme, in over 20 years, we still have that same issue. They go missing. Sometimes people don't call you. The drivers get forgetful. We've tried all the methods of, okay, we went out with this many. How many did we return with? And it just doesn't work. But you've got to have them. You've got to have them.
And especially, Austin, if somebody's doing this as a side hustle and they are doing the deliveries and pickups, they're going to remember them. And that is where you literally can look at it and say, hey, for $1,000 investment, I'm going to make potential of $50 to $75 extra on top of whatever my average rental price is. And so that's really, when you can control that, whole another ballgame. And that is the side hustle game now. Is, I'm sure you see a bunch of that. A lot of people will get your 2 or 3 units, and it's just a great side income that is easy to do. People can start a Facebook page, and tables and chairs are great for that also.
Yeah, they're great. And then even too, I have some customers who they have a good stock of tables and chairs with their inflatables, and they actually offer pickup. So people can come, if they don't need a bounce house, they can come and pick up the tables and chairs. Usually it's the smaller town companies, because they can trust a lot of the times who's picking them up and stuff. But that's nothing. All they're doing is coming and grabbing it for you, and there's the extra money in your hand that you never had. So that's another good thing with tables and chairs. Like you said, they are necessary. Let's get into the actual logistics, delivery. Hit me with anything you got. You have drivers. We have drivers. A lot of folks, of course, don't start out with drivers, and it's the grind to get the drivers. And
Yeah.
a lot of people, I think what happens is they think, okay, if I can get to that point where I can have drivers, everything's going to be great. Everything's going to be grand and awesome. That's not true either. It's still a grind. So give me anything you got on drivers, anything on deliveries, on cleaning, anything like that.
I'm going to give you one of the biggest things that Jason gave me that changed the way I did business. Before, I love weekend rentals because I'm not burning my guys out. We're going to deliver Friday and we're going to pick up Monday. And that gives us time if we're going to do some corporate events or something Saturday or Sunday, or if we do we're not running and flipping. I've got 100 units. We don't have to flip units. Now, if you've got 3 or 4, 5, 6 units, you might need to flip units to really get the business started, but
Yeah.
neither here nor there. So we specialize in that. And so Jason told me, he's like, man, you're out at the customer's house. Clean it when you're there. Because we were bringing everything back. And what would happen is my guys, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, typically would be the cleaning days. And they would remember the ones that weren't that dirty and they would unroll those first. And if we had 20 to clean, I would tell my guys, all right, each of you got to clean 7. And so one guy would get in there, he would remember the good, and he'd get them done. And then the other guys. So anyway, it was a whole process. But Jason told me, it was like, man, you're out at the customer's house. It's blown up. You got to inspect it. You got to get the water off of it. Clean it there. And I was like, I had some pushback to it. I was like, customers are going to see me cleaning it. He was like, exactly. Customers are going to.
They love that. Yeah.
And that was exactly what the customers were saying on my reviews. They'll say they cleaned it right in front of me. And so they don't realize that we are saving tons of time and money.
Yeah.
Not burning my guys out. Now, there are some occasions, like we've got over this past weekend, we have 30 go out, something like that. And out of those 30, we have to bring 4 back that were just awful, covered with balloons and whatever got awful stuff that these kids put in them. And we have to deep clean those back into place. And so it saves so much time. That's one of the biggest things that opened my eyes. And so if you get into this business, you want to scale, you're going to have to. Now, you're going to see some operators that are going to swear that we do it wrong by doing that. That's what works for me. You got to do what works for you.
Yeah.
So the other biggest thing I've learned is paying drivers.
Okay.
Now this is going to be different state to state. You have to check with your accountant. You have to check out the laws, but I've done it every way. I've done it where it was hourly. I've done it where it was commission. I've done it where it was salary. And the problem with hourly was when I used to pay guys to come in and clean, I was working full-time ministry job. And for one instance, the last week that I ever paid hourly to clean was I came in, they had 4 units to clean. And it took them 24 man hours, 24 man hours for 2 guys to clean 4 units. So that's 6 hours per unit. And they were like, oh yeah, Jamie, they were super. I'm like, man, like I was been cleaning these units for 2 years.
Right.
I clean units. It don't take that long. I said, from here on out, I'm going to pay you. That's when I went to a flat fee. Okay, $25 per water slide. When they're getting paid a flat fee, Austin, then the quality of cleanliness a lot of times isn't there. So if you have guys that just maybe lacking the integrity part, can't trust, they're going to, oh yeah, I clean that. I clean. Where I have finally settled after this many years is I pay a salary.
Okay.
And what is I want to reward my good workers. I have a great group of guys right now. And so I'm going to give them 8 to 10 deliveries. When they're done, they get to go home. So they might be done at 2:00 in the afternoon and they're going home. Now, my deal with them is if there's a problem, if that customer calls, it says their water hose is twisted, it's not pouring out right. And because you didn't test it, you have to go back. You're on salary.
So they're on call then too. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're on call. Now, if a blower goes out on a Saturday, I have a driver on call for that. But I have paid many different ways. I paid a commission at one point, and I mean, they on a pickup day, one driver was making like $600 in a day. Until it got to the point, Austin, that I would have one guy that would call off, and he's like, "But I got my buddies that are going to do it for me, and I'll pay me. I'll pay them."
The old buddy trick. Yeah. Yep.
The natural human behavior. They're going to find any way to push the system. I am very laid back when it comes to, I want to take care of my people. I want to take care of them. I want to pay them as much as I can, still make a profit. And so I try to reward them with what is the most valuable, is their time. And so it'll be like, if we have a busy week like we have this week, tomorrow I'll tell them to go home at 11 o'clock. They'll come in and they'll 3 or 4 hours. And so there's a lot of different ways. I do want to leave you one more thing with that. Be careful on sales tax. We had a friend who was an accountant tell us that this is a rental. Now, we're in the state of Georgia, like we said. And he said, in the state of Georgia, you don't pay tax on rentals. We didn't pay taxes. The state IRS came after us and all the other bounce house companies. Somebody like reported everybody here in South Georgia, and they came after.
Wow.
And the lady who audited us said, bad advice is not an excuse for not paying your taxes. And so we had to learn the hard way. And so that is state by state basis, but don't think just because a friend told you, oh, that's a rental product, you don't pay taxes on that. You don't have to charge sales tax. That's state by state basis, and you can get in a lot of trouble and pay a lot of fines. So be very careful. That's one of the learning curves also. So
yeah, I think that's a good point in anything that has to do with the state, the government, and lawsuits. We always say, get at least 2 opinions from 2 professionals on any questions on taxes, questions on waiver, liability waivers. I see all the time on these forums, people saying, I need a liability waiver. Can I see yours? Don't do that. Okay, start it out maybe as a template, but do not do that rental without at least having some sort of attorney look at it to make sure you're covered. And of course, insurance is a no-brainer. Always have liability insurance. I want to go back to the salary thing because that's interesting. Do those guys, do they come in every day?
they do. And for instance, like we had a rock wall event for the Easter weekend. And so what I'll do is, hey guys, will you trade me off Tuesday we got a rock wall event from 10 to 12. And so sometimes I'll even give them a day and a half off. And so they're very flexible because they know this is a seasonal business. And so like one crew was out until 5 o'clock Monday doing pickups. And they'll know that like today they were off at 1 because we got all the work done. And my business partner thinks I'm too easy, but I know how physical this job is. I want to keep them around. It's a young man's job. They're all, what I found is best is your 18 to 22-year-olds and all that. I've got some older guys who have worked for me before, but it's hard on your body. Thinking 8 to 12 inflatables every day, even with the dollies and the good equipment, man.
Dude, you can have the rollers, the electric dollies, but even just getting it into the trailer, getting the accessories in the trailer, driving makes me tired. Driving around all day, it is taxing. It's lucrative. You can make a lot of money in one day, but I totally agree with you. And I think that's a good point as far as getting help for especially newer companies. I had a customer in Texas. He's actually one of our biggest customers now, doing really well, but just over a year ago, he started and he's doing everything on his own. He still actually is. But at first, when it came summertime and he was slinging those slides every weekend, he was like, man, I can barely get through the deliveries. But I'll tell you what, then it comes cleaning day. He's like, I'm dead. I'm like, all right, here's the tip. And he's one of those guys that he doesn't just spray and clean them. He cleans them. Like there is not a spot on them, which is great. It's good. Customers love it. So he gets a lot of returns. But what I told him is like, all right, if you're going to do that, you're going to probably have to clean on a separate cleaning day. But here's what you do, especially in the summer. If you know any high school kids, they're always looking for some easy cash money and they're cheap and they usually will work pretty hard and they can handle the heat. They can go up there. They actually don't find cleaning a bounce house to be all that bad compared to slinging burgers at McDonald's. So that's a piece of advice. If you have any connections if you have high school age sons or you go to the high school, or even girls are perfectly fine at cleaning inflatables or do a great job at it. Utilize those resources. Don't burn yourself out, especially if you're on that track to where you're gaining traction in your community as one of the top companies out there. I see so many people that just burn out because they don't utilize their resources. And it's sad to see really, because then you see them sell out when they really could have had everything set. So, all right, cool. Well, I think, man, there's a lot. We can keep touching on more. But what I want to do, I want to talk about, before we get into knockout, one last thing, and probably the most important thing in this business as far as generating revenue is marketing. In your business, give me your thought process on, because I get this question a lot. And Blaine, actually, my brother, does a lot of the marketing for Extreme. I do a lot of it for Orchid House and BounceWave and things like that. But give me your thought process on, in this industry, are there any general rules of thumb as far as budgeting for marketing goes? Are there any tips that you have for utilizing paid marketing? Because we did talk about organic. What paid marketing tools do you think work if you were to advise a young company with a limited budget? Anything like that?
Yeah. I think we touched on earlier, I think to start off, you definitely want to be on all your social media platforms. The way Facebook and Instagram are linked up now, you can post the one and post the both of them. One thing that so many people miss is your Google My Business listing. Is that has post capabilities just like Facebook. And when you're doing that, when you're on Facebook and when you're on Google, Instagram, all that stuff tied together, use your keywords. Use like, hey, we are offering the best dinosaur bounce house with slide combos in XYZ. And that is going to help Google, as they're crawling all this data that they do, that's going to help them crawl and make you more relevant. One of the other marketing things you can do with Google is respond to your reviews.
Yes.
Respond to the back. Guys, people know that you're going to have some Karens out there. And so even if it's uncalled for, respond to it professionally, get a second opinion if you need to, but all of that goes into it. So you've got the social media platforms. One of the biggest things is with social media, if you're not posting, if you're going weeks without or months without posting, it's going to hurt you, because you think about the last time you've Googled, let's say, a plumber, and man, they haven't posted in 2 years. Are they even in business?
Yeah.
That could eliminate them from that customer search. So then also, of course, SEO is your long game. That needs to be hours upon hours of work. And then your Google ads are instance, like we talked about, those will get you up. When it comes to budget, I feel comfortable with about $5 a day on Google ads. And what I do is I keep a good eye on, am I utilizing that budget every single month? I know which one of my competitors got Google ads. There's 3 of us that compete on Google, and it's the 3 main players. Everybody else, really, Austin, they're just Facebook. They're the one platform,
right? Which
is good. I'm happy. You know what I mean? Because it does on the lines of your website is a huge learning curve. Google ads, if you're going to do it yourself, it's a learning curve. SEO is a huge learning curve. All of that stuff, like, you can do the one platform and you can be successful, word of mouth, all of that kind of stuff. But to really be successful in this business, you've got to go after those big. Now, we've got a TikTok channel, but when you get into TikTok and YouTube and that kind of stuff, we are a service-based industry, okay? And you think about when you're going looking for a plumber, you're not going to YouTube, say, I need a plumber in Central Florida. Right. That's not where you're not on TikTok. The most important are those platforms that we talked about, your Facebook, Instagram, and your Google business listing. So those are your big ones. For a long time, when it comes to Facebook ads, I was not a believer because I didn't have a lot of success. And the way that I learned Facebook ads is I watch out some of these groups, and somebody would post like a picture of their graphics that were done by a professional marketing company. Is, you need to contact so-and-so to do your graphics. I can make graphics. And so Austin, literally, I'll go in there, and these guys are like way off. They're not in my area. So I'm not taking one of my competitors' graphics. Don't do that, by the way. Don't go in there and copy your competitors. That's a whole nother podcast right there.
Business ethics.
So what I would do is I would go in there and I'd make a graphic that might look similar, but it's different because it's my own personal touch on it.
Yeah.
And then I'd go, okay, who I want to advertise to. And so I've really been hitting Facebook ads harder in the past year because also I'm not going to post in these junket groups. I'm not going to post on Facebook Marketplace. I just don't want to do that. It's partly an ego thing, Austin.
Yeah.
But I get the one question that is like nails on the chalkboard is like, when I'm selling a unit, is this available?
Is this available? Oh, I get it. I still get it probably 15 to 20 times a day. It is terrible. We do it because sometimes it works, but
yeah, those are your main. And I would start off with, if you're just getting into like Facebook ads, do a $50 campaign. If you're not familiar, they have the boost, the post.
So when you say Facebook ads, do you utilize the boost post, or is it more so like the carousel ad?
Go until I do a lot of carousels, just from the research that I've seen.
Yeah.
Your boost post is like that's a Facebook wanting some money any way they're going to get it.
Yeah.
And so that's what boost this post for $20 and reach 3,000 people. They have the back end of your meta pages to where you can go in, and it's super easy. Like, I'm sure you're familiar with it, Austin, but it's super easy. You can go on there and get really specific. Like, I'll go in there, and here's the hint on what I do is I form my graphics, I form my headlines, and then my demographics, I'm going to choose parents of kids between the ages of 1 and 18. And I want parents between the age of about 25, 26 and 60. Am I going to eliminate some grandparents? 100%. But I think that's a very small number.
Right.
And so I'll go in there and like a month-long campaign, and I'll put $150 into it. But the cool thing now is Facebook will tell you, we had this many impressions, and you had 457 clicks to your website.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm basing off of,
I will say,
it's complicated.
Facebook took me by surprise as well. With Orchid House, I ran several carousels now at this point, and I actually got more clicks, better traffic to the site than I did on Google by spending a lot less money, like significantly more. So I'm a big proponent of it, but just like anything, whether it's Google, whether it's Facebook, you've got to put the time into researching the right way to set it up. Because if you go in there and you go onto the demographic section, you just put anybody under the age of 65, you're going to waste so much money. When you brought up the parents of the certain age groups, that's brilliant. Do some research on that before you spend the money.
One thing also, Austin, especially this time of year, is there's so many. I'm in South Georgia, and I'll see companies from Illinois that are advertising down here, and they flew through it. They didn't set it up properly. They didn't choose their area. You choose your area. You can choose a radius of your city. You can get very specific, but you will be wasting dollars. There was one competitor of mine that they had 400 likes on this post, Austin. And I was like, how did they do that? What they were doing is they were advertising to the entire nation.
Oh.
And you've got a 50-mile radius, if you're lucky, that you can serve it. So you can either go after likes or you can go after conversions.
Yeah. And that's really upsetting because that just blows through your budget for that day and it's done. Yeah. You're taking it away. And we could do a whole thing on getting into the details of paid advertising and that kind of thing. But I will say, if you have any questions on how to do it, YouTube is incredible for setting up Facebook ads, even Google ads. And it can even get industry specific. There's people in the event rental industry that will literally go through step by step and show you what to do. So if you guys have questions on that, if the listeners have questions, definitely check that out. Don't go in there blind and just spend a bunch of money. But that brings us into your newest venture along these lines here, Knockout social media software. I'm excited because we're using it. We are customers of Knockout. We use them for Extreme Jumpers and Slides. We use them for Orchid House. I want you to explain what it is, and then I'll give you our experience so far.
So I have for 2 years been wanting to do social media marketing. I love social media marketing. And my holdup has always been, I've never been able to find the software to be able to do this on scale and affordability, because both go hand in hand. Because when it comes to paying, is charging somebody $300 a month to post on their social media site, you can really, for $300, I'm going to do it myself, Austin. Right. So I always knew there was a need there because us as entrepreneurs, we wear so many hats. But it's always been where, okay, until I can do this and provide the best content, the best software that's going to roll and schedule this stuff out and program it and all that, I can't do it. And so I found the software a few months ago and I was so excited.
Yeah.
I was so
Yeah.
excited. Rolling it out. Talk to you about it, talk to Jason. And I'm going to go ahead and say what it is. So I charge $99 a month. I post 5 times a week to your things. You get to approve all the content or deny it. And what I do is I go in there and build out about 90% of a year's worth of content. I go in there and grab your pictures. I incorporate some stock photos. It's all going to be high quality stuff. We sell, we rent fun.
Yep.
And so we want good quality images. If they're stock photos, it's going to be stuff like you can't tell it's a dinosaur combo if you don't have a dinosaur combo. So like for Extreme, I went in there, you guys already had great content built up. So I went in there, I paired like all your dinosaur units together. And then I went in there and I specialize in those keywords. And so I go in there, we have the best dinosaur bounce houses and dinosaur water slide. And then I list out the entire area that you service. So as Facebook, Google, and all those sites are crawling your site, it's going to pick this up. It's going to help you become more profitable. It's going to help more customers find you. And so my holdup has always been the price. How can I do this affordably? And so I finally settled on $99 a month. And it was like Jason said, he was like, you're going to do that for me for $99 a month?
Oh my God.
For 20, no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Yes.
So dude, we're up to 10 clients now.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to scale it up crazy fast. I want to do it nice and slow.
Right.
It's a very hands-on. You've been through the setup process of, hey guys, I got your first batch of approvals. Go on there and you get to approve it or deny it. If you don't like it, all I ask is that you put a comment in there.
Yeah.
Like, no, Jamie, this graphic sucked. But anyway, so dude, I'm so excited, man. And I'm really focusing on that bounce house niche, that event rentals, like Orchid House.
Yep.
But I just had Blaine reach out. He was like, can you do a barbershop?
Oh, yeah, he's bringing his barbershop in. That's funny.
But dude, I'm actually going to roll. I've been in ministry for so long.
Yeah.
I'm going to roll one library just for churches.
Nice.
And stuff like that. So I'm excited about it. I love business. I'm not in love with bounce houses. Not in love with social media.
Yes.
I love business, you know what I mean? And problem solving and all that kind of stuff. So the awesome thing about the software that I have is we set the schedule. Like for instance, it might be Monday memes. So at 8:15 in the morning, every Monday is going to do a different meme. We're going to do 5-star content, which is huge. You're putting what customers are saying about your product and your business out there for people to see. Yes. And then it goes on. I do a lot of custom graphics for each individual business. Field days, Easter, 4th of July, Memorial Day, back to school, whatever it would be. We incorporate all those seasonality changes, wet unit content, dry unit content, and the list goes on and on. I stay to about 5 main areas, but I have found myself branching out because each client's different. The other interesting thing, and I can't wait to hear what you're going to say, but right now I'm only doing 1 client per area. So like you guys are there in Central Florida. Jason tried to recommend somebody that was going to be close by him. I was like, Jason, you don't want me to do it because as a content creator, my stuff will look alike. And so I would rather scale out to the nation.
Yeah.
Because I do reutilize different graphics, but with that client's bounce house water slide on it. So I interchange it. That's what saves me time. That's what lets me do it so affordably.
I see.
And my goal in this is Jason asked me, he was like, now, can you do this kind of stuff? I was like, just trust me. I said, after I did it, he was like, dude, this stuff looks great. I said, my goal in business is to under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
That's my goal with it.
Yeah. And the advantage is a lot of these companies that do this content creation, you go to them and you're like, hey, I need this content. And they have no idea what your business is, what grabs people's attention. The benefit with you is you set this up, you create the content, And you've done it for however many years. Exactly. You've rented them, what people like, what graphics bring attention. And that's just a small part of it. So basically, I really want to like dummy proof it, because even I deal with social media content. I'm on Canva probably 80% of my day, editing videos, making graphics for BounceWave, making email blasts and all that kind of thing. And even I was like, it almost sounded too good to be true. So what Jamie does is, here's how basic I can make it. And no lie, this is how it works, is Jamie says, hey, send me your links, send me the areas you service, send me your Google business page. So I'm like, okay. I'm going to go ahead and make your content pack. I'm like, all right, that sounds way too easy. I can give you all that. So I gave it to him. We gave it to him for 2 companies. And I must say, both completely different companies and completely different clientele. So one of them is Extreme Jumpers, which is the inflatable rental company, as we've been talking about. And then Orchid House is a high-end event rental company that mainly caters to like weddings, baby showers that look, maybe a week later, if that, a few days later, Jamie texts us, our group, our BounceWave guys, that we're all working together to run all this stuff and all these companies. And he's, hey guys, I got your content done. Here's the link. Click it. And all you got to do is click approve if you like it, or you can reject it and leave a comment. I'm like, man, this is way, way too easy. You texted me this thing. All I got to do is click the link and approve it. And I'm like, okay, let's see what he's got. And I was thinking, you're starting to see it a lot, is this whole AI like created stuff that looks like a fever dream, and everybody is starting to be able to identify it like that. And that brings me to one quick thing, is with your descriptions. Yes, ChatGPT is cool, but Google is going to start identifying that very soon. They already have, and people can identify that too. So be very careful with this whole AI thing. It's great. Don't rely on it. Anyways. Yep. So that's what I was thinking. I was like, all right, he's going to take an image he got from a website and just do some weird thing. And we start scrolling through it. And I'm like, holy cow, this is good stuff. And some of it was like, man, I would pay like a professional graphic designer for this. And then all of a sudden I scroll through one and I see this video of these kids playing in this bounce house, which is like the ultimate marketing tool, is if you can get video, it's stock video. So it's totally legal. And so I was like, dude, I went through, and Jamie's, hey, I know it's a lot to go through every post and approve it. So if you like it, let me know and I'll go do it. I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. So then I approve it. We're all so excited about these posts. And I'm like, okay, now am I going to have to go in and post them myself? The next morning we wake up and because we have the Extreme Jumpers Facebook and Instagram and Orchid House all on our phones. And we have all these notifications of we have a notification of a post, and then all these notifications of likes and interaction and stuff that we had not been getting on our posts for a very long time. Because to be frank with you, we have 5 or 6 companies now that we're trying to run. So sometimes they get neglected on their content and their posts. And when you get to the size that Spring Forward is, and you're doing this stuff, and if you're still helping in ministry, or a lot of people that are doing this part-time and have a full-time job and kids, it easily can get left behind, and it's important.
Yeah.
Jamie has the post scheduled for you. He goes over the schedule with you, and it literally creates the post. It's accurate. It's everything you need in a post that's good for SEO and content and engagement. And at the craziest part, and we were talking about it earlier today, is it's $99 a month. And I can't believe it. It is simple. If you guys are watching the YouTube video, I'm going to try and figure out a way to show maybe some of I don't know. We'll look at, maybe Jamie, you can give people somewhere that they can look at some sample graphics or something.
Hey, go to Extreme Jumpers and Slide House. Those have been posting it's just after Easter when we're recording this. And so they've been posting for a while, I don't know, 3 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And you can see firsthand. And now one thing important, like we talked about, Austin, is we decided with you guys, let's leave Saturday open, because that's typically when you're doing deliveries and you're going to get some good content. That way you can still post.
Yes.
Or you can let us be the 5 posts a week. Or, hey, jump in there. Like, you guys have posted more stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The other thing I try, whenever I get a good Facebook ad graphic, I'll go in there and start dropping it just randomly on my clients' feeds. Like I did that, I think it was Monday for you guys. I went in there and just dropped a graphic with some of your units on there. And it was just like, okay, that graphic looks good, man. Let's just go drop it. I think I sent you guys a text. Hey, if you want to boost that post, that would be a good one to boost. So I want to over deliver and under promise. So.
Yeah, it's a great product. And like he was saying, there is freedom. So don't feel like when you do this that, okay, my posts are, I can't post my own stuff, because it is important to have that personal content. Reels are a huge deal. People underestimate reels and the amount of people they reach. So if you got like a reel, like that unboxing thing that you're talking about, get a reel going of that if you can, or even maybe a video and boost it, because those are really cool. People get excited. You have that freedom. And he's also got basically a year's worth of content planned out. You don't have to worry about it. It gets engagement. People like it. Like, they're not just scrolling past it. It's good stuff. And then two, it's another big thing that was a big deal to my dad to Jason, is that you're not making people sign a year-long contract right now, right? It's month to month, right? If you don't like it, you can end it the next month.
The catch is there's a $300 onboarding. And that is just because I do invest hours upon hours.
Oh, yeah.
Into each company. And so that's the only requirement before I start is we'll do the first $300. That gets all the graphics. And what I'm doing is, if the clients want their graphics, like for the website, I'll go ahead and email them the graphics. And like you said, there are some very high quality graphic companies out there, especially in the bounce house niche, that, man, they charge big bucks for graphics when you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And some very low end ones. But yeah, man, we'll even email them to you. And that way, if you want to upload them to your website and just freshen it up also.
Yeah. And we are in the middle of actually transferring the BounceWave website over to a new platform, which is going to be a lot of fun with over 2,500 products and all the blogs. But when we do, which is coming very soon, I don't know how we're going to name the page yet, but we're going to have a business partners page, and Knockout is going to be at the top there for people for social media, because it's great. And a lot of these, be careful with a lot of these companies. Honestly, this is Jamie, and it's not just because BounceWave and my father and me now have a friendship with Jamie. It's legit that, like, you can't trust 99% of these companies that do this kind of thing. Unfortunately, that's how it works. But he's trustworthy. If you need somebody, and not if you need somebody, think about it this way. It's okay, the $300 setup fee, totally worth it. You get a ton of graphics. $99 a month. If you get one rental from one of those posts, you just paid for that for the entire month. And so it is a no-brainer.
So now's the time to get in. It's been a fun business venture and all that.
Yeah. And for the listeners, Knockout Social Media Marketing, what is the best way for them to contact you if they want to sign up, if they want more info? What's the best way to reach you?
My website, it's kosocialsoftware.com, and they can actually schedule a Zoom call. I'm available Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I think it's 10 to 1 or something like that. Or just message me. You know what I mean? My name is Jamie Schluckabeer. I'm going to be one of the only Schluckabeers on Facebook. So you can find me. Look up my business, Spring Forward Inflatables. There's ways to find me. We're the age of the internet, but I'd love to talk to you. We'll do a discovery call, and we see if it's going to be a good fit. I make sure that you're not already in one of my clients' areas. It's not like some companies, I'll do Google ads for multiple businesses in the same area. Doing that. Specialize. I want to be good with one person. I want to be so good in just that one area.
Awesome. Yeah. And then too, I'm going to put the link to your website on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're or listening to this in the car, check the Spotify description. The link will be in there as well. On Facebook, we'll put KO's link on there so you can contact them. Worst case scenario, reach out to one of the BounceWave guys, Chris, Blake, Blaine. They all know Jamie. Especially now, if they didn't, now that they've seen this incredible God-sent gift he sent us that has taken so many hours off of giving us time for things that we need to actually do and that we trust is going to be good content, because good content is important. It's not just about volume. It's about quality as well. So I think with that, Jamie, unless you have anything else, man, I can't thank you enough. We talked a ton about this business. I think whether it's somebody new or, like I said, whether it's been somebody that's been in the business for 20 years, somebody's going to get something out of this. And then I think KO, you're going to scale like crazy. So thank you so much for coming on here. And if you have any last words, man, spit them out.
Man, it was a blast. I appreciate you guys and I appreciate you having me on. And I always love talking about business and I always love helping people too, man. I can tell that's what I love about you guys at BounceWave is you guys want the best for customers also. So
yeah, absolutely. Cool, man. Well, I have a feeling you'll be on again sometime soon. There were some topics that we could have went in deep with, and I think we will do that. Good luck with everything, Jamie. Again, thank you. I'm sure I'll be talking to you again sometime this week with whether it's something with KO or whenever you're ready to order those 6 to 7 wraparound obstacle courses. You know who to call. BouncePros, Unplugged listeners. Thank you for tuning into this episode. I know it might seem a little long, but I'm telling you right now, the value you're getting from somebody that's actually done this and still does this to this day very successfully, it's invaluable, really. We want to get as much knowledge to everyone in this industry as possible. Again, this is the BouncePros Unplugged, brought to you by BounceWave Inflatable Sales. Visit www.bouncewavesslidesales.com. And if that's too long, www.buywhatrents.com, or visit our Facebook page. And again, thank you, everybody. Thank you again, Jamie. We will talk soon.